Welcome to Chasing Baseball's Immortals, where I explore the career of every 20th Century Hall of Famer while collecting one of their original Playing Days cards. Today I'm taking a closer look at Christy Mathewson, the signature pitcher of the Deadball Era, and his T205 Gold Border, a beautifully detailed portrait that captures him at the height of his Giants' dominance. Let's get started. Christy Mathewson was born August 12, 1880 in Factorville, Pennsylvania, and grew up in a family that valued both education and athletics. He started multiple sports at Bucknell University, but it was his combination of his intelligence, discipline, and command on the mound that set him apart. The New York Giants signed him in 1900, and after a brief early setback, he returned in 1901 ready to anchor one of the strongest pitching staffs of the era. Mathewson's rise was immediate. By 1903, he was already one of the National League's dominant pitchers, and over the next decade, he became the face of the Giants and one of the defining stars of the Deadball Era. He won 373 games, posted a career ERA of 2.13, and recorded 4 seasons of 30 or more wins. His signature pitch, the fadeaway, a reverse curve delivery similar to today's screwball, baffled hitters and became one of the most famous weapons of the early game. His performance in the 1905 World Series remains one of the greatest postseason feats in baseball history. Mathewson threw 3 complete game shutouts in 6 days, carrying the Giants to the championship and cementing his reputation as a sports model of poise and precision. He paired that dominance with remarkable control, leading the league in strikeout to walk ratio 5 times, and finished his career with one of the lowest walk rates of any elite pitcher. Mathewson's style of play reflected his personality, calm, strategic, and relentlessly consistent. He was known as the Christian gentleman, a rare superstar whose character was praised as often as his statistics. Even in an era defined by rough edges and hard living, Mathewson stood out as a disciplined, thoughtful competitor who elevated the image of the game. His career ended abruptly in 1916 after he inhaled poison gas while serving in World War I, an injury that damaged his lungs and ultimately led to his early death in 1925. When the Baseball Hall of Fame opened in 1936, Mathewson was one of the first 5 players elected, joining Ruth, Cobb, Johnson, and Wagner in the inaugural class. Mathewson's legacy rests on more than numbers. He was the first great pitching icon, a player who combined dominance, intelligence, and integrity in a way that shaped how the position would be understood for generations. To place Christy Mathewson in context, it helps to look across eras for pitchers who shared his blend of command, efficiency, and long-term excellence. Mathewson finished with 373 wins, 2.13 ERA, 127 ERA plus, 1.06 WHIP, over 2,500 strikeouts, and a WAR that exceeded 107. The 2 names that rise closest to the level of dominance are Tom Seaver, the historical standard for franchise-level excellence, and Greg Maddux, the late-century master of precision. Each reflects a different side of what made Mathewson great, a level of control, consistency, and postseason brilliance rarely seen even among the game's all-time greats. Tom Seaver is the closest historical match to Mathewson's overall impact. Like Mathewson, with the early Giants, Seaver was the face of his franchise, a pitcher who set the standard for professionalism and carried his team through its defining era. Seaver's statistical footprint lines up remarkably well against Mathewson's, closing out a career with 311 wins, 2.86 ERA, 127 ERA plus, and a 109 WAR. Both paired elite run prevention with durability and leadership, becoming the central figures of championship-level rotations. In terms of stature and long-term influence, Seaver is the clearest echo of what Mathewson represented. Greg Maddux provides the closest modern comparison to Mathewson's style. Where Seaver mirrors his impact, Maddux mirrors the approach: precision over power, intelligence over intimidation. Mathewson dominated with command and movement, and Maddux did the same a century later. Their numbers reflect the shared efficiency. Maddux delivered 355 wins, 1.14 WHIP, and 3,371 strikeouts. Both lived on the edges, changed speeds, and forced hitters into weak contact, building Hall of Fame careers on control, craft, and the ability to stay one step ahead. Across baseball history, Tom Seaver and Greg Maddux offer the clearest parallels to Christy Mathewson, one reflecting the weight of his career impact and the other capturing the precision and style that defined his greatness. The T205 Gold Border set came out in 1911, right after the iconic T206 release, and was distributed inside American Tobacco Company cigarette packs. Although it never reached the same level of hobby fame as its T206 counterpart, the T205 is significantly more scarce, by more than 50%, in combined PSA and SGC populations. On average, using PSA data, each T206 card has been graded over 570 times, while a typical T205 card has only been graded 235 times. Each card features a bright gold border, detailed artwork that immediately sets it apart. And T205 became the first major baseball set to include a short biography and player statistics on the back. The full checklist includes 208 cards and was printed with 11 tobacco backs: Cycle, Hindu, Broadleaf, Piedmont, Sweet Caporal, Hassan, American Beauty, Honest Long Cut, Sovereign, Drum, and Polar Bear. American League cards use an ornate baseball diamond design, while National League cards feature clean backgrounds and a facsimile signature, giving the set two distinct visual identities. With its gold borders, multiple backs, and strong star power, the T205 set stands out as one of the most memorable and collectible tobacco issues. At the center of the release are four marquee Hall of Famers: Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Tris Speaker, and Cy Young, whose portrait remains recognizable images of the pre-war era. The T205 Christy Mathewson is one of the key Hall of Famers in the set, showcasing the classic National League layout with a crisp portrait, gold borders, and a concise bio and stats on the reverse. Because those borders chip so easily, eye appeal drives the market. PSA 1 examples typically sell for around $750. PSA 2s land near $1,200, and PSA 3s often exceed $2,000, with premium pricing for strong centering and rich color. Scarcer backs can push values even higher. As one of the greatest baseball pitchers in baseball history, Mathewson's T205 remains a cornerstone pre-war card. Visually striking, historically important, and still a relative bargain compared to its contemporaries from the tobacco era. All right, now we'll look at the card. Here's my example of the T205 Gold Border Christy Mathewson. In my opinion, one of, if not the most underrated card in the vintage hobby. For such an iconic card, I feel like it's very undervalued. You can pick up a copy of these for the same, if not less, than his T206s, which I think this is a better image, a more condition sensitive set, and more scarce than all three of his issues in the T206. So this is just a great card. The back, this is one of the more available backs, the Sweet Caporal back. Obviously it was in a scrapbook or something. It was a little paper loss. I got this card about 2 years ago. Can't remember, I think it was on one of the auction sites. It wasn't an SGC slab, one of the old green labels, and I resubmitted it to PSA. I got it for right around $700, and it is a PSA 1, and I think I got a deal on it just because it's the registration, the centering, the edge and corner wear is minimal for what it is. There are no creases in it. Just a beautiful card, and glad to add that one to my collection. That completes my Christy Mathewson run. For collectors, Christy Mathewson has one of the most respected and visually compelling card portfolios of the Deadball Era. I'll highlight three cards that stand out as pillars of any Mathewson collection, each offering its own mix of scarcity, artistry, and long-term collector demand. First, 1908-1910 E102 is Mathewson's most impressive early caramel issue. These cards were printed on thin, fragile stock and distributed regionally, making high-grade examples extremely scarce. The artwork captures Mathewson in a clean, pastel-tone pitching pose that reflects the aesthetic of early 20th century lithography. Market data is limited, with the only recent sale being a PSA 1 for $2,000. Next, the T206 Dark Cap is one of Matheson's defining tobacco issues. While not as scarce as his white cap or his portrait variations, the dark cap remains one of the most recognizable images of the era. A crisp, balanced lithograph that shows Matheson in full pitching form. Back scarcity plays a major role in value, with the tougher backs commanding significant premiums. A PSA 3 will run collectors around $3,000, a PSA 2 around $1,500 to $2,000, and a PSA 1 around $1,000. And finally, the 1914 Cracker Jack is his most iconic caramel era issue. Distributed directly in boxes of caramel and prone to condition issues and staining, the 1914 issue is substantially tougher than its 1915 counterpart and features him pitching versus a portrait. The bold red background paired with a horizontal image provides one of the most striking images in the entire Cracker Jack run. An extremely rare card with just 66 graded examples, where the most recent sale of PSA 8 was $60,000. Beyond these three headliners, Matheson's full card run includes important pieces in pre-war collecting. His T206 portrait, the M116 Sporting Life, the Turkey Red, and his post-playing days issue in the 1941 Play Ball release. Each offer a different artistic interpretation of one of baseball's most revered figures. Together, these issues form a visually rich, historically significant portfolio that reflects Matheson's dominance and his enduring place in the hobby. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And if you have any suggestions for future topics or ways to improve the series, feel free to drop them in the comments. On deck, I'll be taking a closer look at Ralph Kiner, a 7-time National League home run leader and a player that was poised to be an Inner Circle Hall of Famer before injuries shortened his career. We'll also break down his 1949 Leaf, a beautiful card from a popular set that has seen increasing collector demand over the years. See you then.